Okay, let's start our seminar, our almost summer seminar. So today we discuss a joint paper by Olga and Andrey on academic inbreeding, which is a topic many of us are interested in, and we discuss a paper about the relationship between academic inbreeding and research productivity in Russian universities. So the floor is yours.
Hello, colleagues. I'll tell you about motivation, background, and the data we use in our research, and then Andrey will proceed with methodology and results of our empirical study. Academic inbreeding is the practice of hiring own graduates by university. The first interest to this topic emerged in the beginning of 20th century when Harvard President Charles Eliot mentioned in his speech that hiring own graduates by universities is natural but not wise and even dangerous practice. Since that time, studying of inbreeding, its reasons and consequences, studies of inbreeding, its reasons and consequences became rather popular. And by today, there are a lot of such studies, both in countries where inbreeding rates are very high, and also in those countries where this practice is not very popular. Nevertheless, in Russia, the interest to this topic only begins to rise, and there are only few rather theoretical and descriptive studies on this topic, which we use as a base in our research. But rates of inbreeding are very high in Russia, and according to the data we use in our research, that's data of Changing Academic Professions survey, 64% of Russian faculty work in those universities where they study. As I've already said, inbreeding phenomenon is rather well studied in different countries, and especially in the USA, from where these studies came from. In general, it is usually considered that inbreeding is an inevitable and even good practice on early stages of development of academic systems, but it became rather dangerous and for more mature academic systems, because it is considered that inbreds lack broad outlook and tend to reproduce ideas of their teachers and supervisors, and this may lead to knowledge stagnation in academic system. This may also affect academic research activity and research productivity of academics. That is why one of the popular directions of studies in the sphere of inbreeding is are studies of the link between academic inbreeding and research productivity of faculty. Results of such studies differ between countries and within the same countries too. As we see on this slide, some studies show that there is a positive correlation between inbreeding and research productivity. That means that inbreds are more productive than their colleagues from other universities. Others show that their correlation is negative, and faculty who work in universities where they studied are less productive, publish less papers of worse quality than their non-inbred colleagues. And also there are also studies that show that there are no significant effect of inbreeding on research productivity of faculty. Nevertheless, as we can see here, in Russia there were practically no such detailed studies of this correlation, and so in our paper we aim to study it. Moreover, as we could see here, results of studies differ not only differ significantly between and within countries, And this means that we can't just take results take results about the correlation between inbreeding and productivity received in one country and transfer them to rather similar academic system of another country. We should study this correlation separately in each country. And that's why in our study we decided to look at the effects of academic inbreeding on faculty productivity. As far as academic rates of inbreeding are also very high. While studying literature, we tried to understand why results may differ between and within countries. This may depend on sample characteristics. Also, it may depend on characteristics of academic systems of different countries, or even on characteristics of one academic system in different time points. So maybe there were some reforms that changed the academic system, and that's why effects of inbreeding also could change. Nevertheless, we also find that different studies of academic inbreeding used different operationalizations of this term. That means that inbreds were defined by different levels of education in these studies. Based on literature review, we found several operationalizations of inbreeding that are the first one is in some studies inbreds were those persons who had achieved at least one degree in the university where they work. No matter what is this degree, but if they studied in the university at any stage of education, these faculty are considered inbred. In other studies, inbreds were defined by their first degree. So, if a person studied in his bachelor in the university where he works, then he is considered inbred. Also, some studies defined inbreeding by highest achieved degree. No matter what is this degree, but if it's the final stage by the moment, and it was achieved in the university where the faculty now works, the faculty was considered inbred. And finally, some studies defined inbreeding only by doctoral degree. They study in these studies only academics with PhD were investigated, and if their PhD was received in this university, they were considered inbred. Some studies also separate so-called silver-coded academics who have received education in the university where they work, but who when started their career in some other university and then returned to the university of their education. Based on literature review, we didn't manage to find any strict correlation between the operationalizations of inbreeding used in the study and the results about the correlation between inbreeding and productivity. Nevertheless, in our research, we decided to control for different operationalizations and to test different operationalizations for validation of our results. Before proceeding to methodology of our study, and to empirical results, it is also important to say some words about characteristics of Russian academic system, because it is important to interpret our results in these terms. Russian academic system is also, it is important to notice that the data we use in our research was collected in 2012 before some reforms happened in Russian academic system. I'll tell about these changes some words a few minutes ago. Russian academic system before 2012 was characterized by high inbreeding rates and low mobility rates, which were inherited from Soviet period and were also explained by the closeness of Russian academic labor market. This means that formally open competition existed in universities, and it was even obligatory, but in reality people were hired and promoted practically automatically, and were hired by acquaintance or university administrators hired their graduates because it was convenient and it reduced risks of hiring strangers. Also, it is important to say that traditionally Russian academics, Russian faculty, didn't see a strong correlation between their effectiveness on work and their productivity, publishing productivity. That is why they didn't have high incentives for publishing, especially on international level. And this is also important to understand for interpreting our further results. Nevertheless, in 2012, several presidential decrees in May were introduced, and this was the introduction of effective contracts and stimulation of publishing productivity in in peer-reviewed journals. And so maybe nowadays the situation has changed compared to 2012, but the further analysis will show if the situation really changed. In our study, we use data of a survey of change in academic profession conducted in 2007-2008 in 12 countries in Europe and in Asian countries and in USA. And in 2012, it was conducted in Russia with the use of the same methodology. The sample for this research was multi-staged. At the first stage, we select 9 regions with the highest percentage of students were selected. These were Moscow, St. Petersburg, and 7 regions: Nizhny Novgorod, Novosibirsk, Rostov region, Samara region, Sverdlovsk and Tomsk region, and Primorsky Krai. At the second stage, at each region were selected at least one university with special status that are national research universities and federal universities, and was selected, and one university without and at least one higher educational institution without special status was also selected. As a result, we got 25 universities from these 9 regions, and at the third stage of sample forming, we selected 64, randomly selected 64 faculty in each university. As a result, we got a sample of 1,623 academics. And for our research, the sample size is 1,358 academics, because we dilated all observations with any non-response or missingness on those variables that we use in our study. So now Andrey will proceed.
what was done. We use regression analysis, and faculty research productivity was our dependent variables. And as Olga say, there are several types of personalization of inbreeding in literature, and we use some of them. First, we use several types of personalization of the research productivity. First, we use the raw number of articles in books and in journals, which published in the last 3 years prior to survey. Second, we use the number of so-called article equivalents. It is a weighted sum of articles with articles in journals and books with 1 point, edited books with 2 points, and authored books with 5 points. This personalization takes into account the different types of publications and minimize difference between different disciplines which have different traditions in publishing. Third, we try to estimate some quality of publishing, and we use the percentage of foreign language and peer-reviewed article equivalents, which also based on the self-reported data. This is some descriptive statistics. Our independent variable was inbreeding, and as Olga said, there are different types of personalization inbreeding, and we use some of them. First, we use inbreeding based on the different types of degrees, and there are 4 types of inbreds. It is undergraduate inbreds, these persons who have degree who have bachelor, master or diploma from the university where they work. Second, it is postgraduate inbreds, this person who have a PhD degree from this university. Third, it was inbreds who have at least 1 degree from this university, and fourth, it was the inbreds who have highest achieved degree from this university. Second type of personalization based on the combination different degrees, and there are also 4 types of faculty members. First of all, it's only undergraduate inbreds. Inbreds who have only bachelor, master, or diploma from this university. Second is only postgraduate inbreds, is people who have only PhD degree from this university. Third, it's super inbreds who have both undergraduate and postgraduate degree from this university. And fourth is it's absolutely non-inbreds who have no degree from the university where they work. And the third type, it's inbreeding was defined by having a PhD degree from this university and first position in this university. And there are also 4 types of faculty members. It's pure inbreds who have PhD from this university, and first position was in this university too. Second is silver corded. It's people who also have PhD degree from the university where they work, but their teaching experience in current university is shorter than their general teaching experience elsewhere. Third, it's mobile non-inbreds, and fourth, it's non-mobile non-inbreds. It's two opposite types of faculties. Yeah. We use some controls also. We control for gender, for number of years in academia. We control for having PhD degree. We control for academic rank. We control for discipline by dummies for some disciplines. We control for research teaching preferences. We control for type of higher education institution. It were two dummies for national research universities and for federal universities. And finally, we control for some measure of prestige of higher education institution. We used mean United States Unified States exam score for this higher education institution. Okay, our data, our dependent variable is a count variable with many zeros. You can see it on the figure. Top figure for row number of article and chapter, and the down figure for article equivalence. And this data requires a special model for modeling. Okay, so special models. There are 4 models which we know, and these models are mixture models in which the complete distribution of dependent variables is split in 2 components. Zero components estimate the zero versus non-zero values, and a count component estimates non-zero counts. We compare the quality with 4 models, and as you can see on this figure, two of them, it was zero inflated negative binomial model and negative binomial Lockit-Hartle model predict our dependent variable better than rest 2, and we use this model for the analysis. It also you can see the difference in quality of this model by Akaike informational criteria. Okay, there's some distributive statistics, but you can see it. Okay, we calculated the zero inflated binomial model and negative binomial Lockit-Hartle regression model to examine the relationship between academic inbreeding and publication productivity. These 2 models demonstrated almost the same results, and we present here only results from negative binomial Lockit-Hartle model because they are easy to interpretation. This is summary of results. We omit coefficients for control variables on slides, but they are available in our working paper. As you can see, the majority of coefficients are not significant. There are only 2 robust differences between inbreds and non-inbreds. Inbreds defined by at least 1 degree have higher probability to have at least 1 publication, and this result replicated in different types of personalization of academic of research of publishing. And the second robust results, inbreds defined by highest achieved degree have higher probability to have at least 1 publication too. And yes, this is an illustration. These differences between inbreds and non-inbreds defined by different bases. This is difference in probability of having and probability of zero and non-zero values in publication, and these differences in distributions. And as you can see, there are no big differences between these 2 groups of faculties. the first results was for a raw number of articles. These results are for article equivalence. So this summary of results for two remaining types of personalizations. There are also only two robust differences between these two groups. First, pure inbreds. Pure inbreds have higher probability of having publication and number of publication compared to non-mobile non-inbreds. This is a reference category, and these types of inbreds have lower probability. And second, pure inbreds have a higher number of publication in comparison to silver-corded faculty members in number of publication. And this is this figure describes the differences between these four groups of faculty members, and also, as you can see, there are no big differences in probability having publication and in mean level of numbers of publication. We also try to examine the differences between inbreds and non-inbreds in quality of publishing, and we fitted a series of logged models where dependent variable was the person having foreign language articles equivalence or having peer-reviewed article equivalence. And as you can see, the analysis revealed that belonging to any type of inbreds didn't predict having foreign language articles. All these coefficients are insignificant, but predicted having peer-reviewed equivalence. Specifically, undergraduate inbreds have had a greater probability of having at least one peer-reviewed publication, and second, super inbreds demonstrated a higher probability of having at least one peer-reviewed publication compared to absolute non-inbreds and compared to only postgraduate inbreds. Summing up, only a couple of relatively robust differences in our results. First, its probability of having publication is higher for at least 1 degree inbreds, and inbreds by highest achieved degree. And second, pure inbreds are more productive than non-inbreds. And our results, it seems that our results show that inbreds and non-inbreds are equally in their publishing quality, or maybe inbreds are more effective. But when we discuss these results, we need to make 2 points, 2 very crucial points. Yes. First point that it doesn't necessarily follow that the absence in differences between inbreds and non-inbreds in number of publication means that there are differences in quality of publication. Because, for example, previous research showed that inbreds and non-inbreds differ in their structure of publication, in their strategies of publication. For example, inbreds published articles in domestic journals more frequently than non-inbreds, and previous research also showed that general lack of desire to publish among Russian faculty. They prefer teaching than research. And the conclusion from that maybe that in this case, perhaps in this case, standard measure of research productivity, such as number of publications, may have serious limitation. And the second point, the data was collected before the reformation of Russian academic system, which were described, and now high publication pressure has emerged, and different types of faculty members react on this pressure in different way. For example, starting from the same year when the described reform began, it is 2012. The number of articles in predatory journals has been increasing dramatically. Russia is lying, and actually we don't know who is the author of these articles. Is it inbreds or non-inbreds? We don't know now. And but why our results is important? They are important because they based on the data which collected just before these reforms, and they give the benchmark for comparison. And when new data from CAP2 come, we have the opportunity to replicate this analysis, and we'll compare new results with this results, that maybe new results will be different, they will be different because of these new reforms in our system. So I think that's it. If you have questions and comments, you're welcome. We try to answer.
Okay, let's start with comments and questions.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, I have a question. Could you split please to the slide about dependent variables? I have a question about the mechanism of operationalization. You said that you count article in book and journal as 1 point, edited books as 2 points, and authored books by 5 points. Why did you decide to count it in such a way?
We use the in this questions we follow one author whose name is Bentley. I think some of them know this guy. They published the article in Scientometrics, which was based on the CAP data, international databases with different countries, and he used this types of weighted sum for integration different types of publication, and we follow this in this way.
Okay, and did you use this approach just for guys from all the disciplines, or you? Okay.
Yes. Do you think it's not so good way?
No, it was just new for me.
So you don't make any difference between Russian language publications and English publications?
In this calculation, no.
Yeah. Because the main difference with Bentley approach is that in most cases it's the same language, so it's easier to do such an exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like to produce one book in Russian is much more easier in some ways than to publish one paper in a peer-reviewed journal in English.
He analyzed the data from China, from Spain. I'm not sure that all these academics write only in English.
And it is not possible using CAP data to control what what concrete publications were published in which language, because we just know only number of publications and percentage of publications in, not even in English, but in other language that for us it may be just, I don't know, French, German, also, or even maybe Ukrainian. It also foreign language journals and so on.
I think mostly maybe it's English, but
Yes,
I don't know.
we can't know it exactly.
More questions? Yes.
Actually, I have three. So, can we go to the basics and could you please state what is your research question? Because I'm lost.
Okay. Our basic research question is just what's the interdependence between academic inbreeding and research productivity of Russian faculty, and it follows just from the fact that there were no such studies yet in Russia, and it is important to understand this before the reforms.
Yeah.
Just to because inbreeding is the rates of inbreeding are high in Russia, and we just want to know if inbreeding really is bad for Russian academics or it is not for their
Okay.
productivity.
So, in order to solve these questions, you specify the model. So, can we go to the specification of the empirical model you use?
It's just here, not?
I think in the previous slide.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
can you, no,
What type
not
of
this
variables?
one, next one. Yeah, this one. So, can you tell us what are exogenous regressors from this list you have?
Yeah. Okay. I understand what you mean. You mean that we said about the effect in bringing on publication, but we actually don't know is it reason of inbreeding or not. Yes, but simply speaking, our questions is about differences between inbreds and non-inbreds. We try to understand is it differences between two groups of faculty members in their research productivity.
But then you don't have to use all these kind of things to identify difference, which can measure the difference in mean values of the productivity. Why do you use this kind of set of predictors, and what are the reasons for that?
Just for control,
Okay.
significance
But then
differences.
how actually being the fact of inbreeding is differs for control?
Sorry,
I mean, you use the set of control, you include inbreeding, the fact of ingredients in this kind of variable of ingredient, different types of ingredient. And how does inbreeding itself differs from control value? I mean, what are you trying to say with this?
all these variables is may affect research productivity, and we try to control this part of variance in research productivity by these
Okay,
variables.
I can bring a couple more control that will affect research productivity, and why exactly this set of controls? Why not others?
Because it's based on the previous literature, we try to we are from the Stila and Haribda. Stila is the restriction of our data. We have which we have. We have what we have, and from this set of variables, we selected variables about which we know from literature that it's related. It relates with the number of publication. Just this way, simple.
Okay. So, okay.
In our working paper, we we referred we referred each of this variable by the source, and in this source said why it important in case of research productivity.
Okay, so let's move to the third question. So you used this kind of fancy techniques to estimate correlations, but you said that you removed about 300 observations which had the missing values. How do you distinguish between missing values and zero publications? And what were legal reasons for deletion of 300 observations?
We didn't delete any person with zero publication. We delete only persons who have no. Okay.
But you deleted 300 persons, which is about 30% of your sample. What is the difference between having missing publication and zero publication?
Okay, zero, it's when we had just, when it was, there was a mark, zero. This means that the person gave the answer. But when we have non-answer, the nature of this non-answer may be different. Of course, I understand that some people could not answer this question because they simply don't have publications. But deleting people with non-responses is just one of the ways of dealing with missingness. It's usually it is not considered just as the best way, but it is just one standard way of dealing with missing answers, and it's the traditional way of dealing with non-response.
Techniques which are dealing with the bias distribution to the left, to the zeros, right?
Yes.
And you dropped about, I don't know, I'm sure 30 or 25% of your sample. How?
But how could we understand what's the nature of their non-responses? Are they okay? Maybe you propose that we should try to восстановить, to fill these gaps, maybe.
No. You just could discuss who those people who do not report their sample.
We can try to see on the differences in publications here and try to compare it with our sample.
Okay, then just an example, when you apply to visa, if you visited too many countries before these applications, you are getting just too lazy to fill all forms about your previous visits, right? So this might be the same effect here when I'm asked how many publications of each type I have. If I just have like a couple of publications, it's easy for me to remember. I can remember every publication in my life. But if I have like over 100 publications, I just don't bother about thinking of that.
It's
Give
true.
it patient.
It's true, but in this case, if you don't treat missing values in kind of way, it's pointless to use this kind of techniques to show something. Just to compare new values. Just to stay simple.
But we don't know the nature of this missing data. We don't know whether these people are using when they have little time or they have no publications, we do not know.
Okay, what we can do, I think, we can to compare the mean or just different, just other descriptive statistics with two groups and try to estimate the why. Try to not estimate. Try to imagine is it different groups of people or maybe not. Yes, we can try it. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
One question, but it's just I realize that there is no answer for this question. But whether it is reasonable to talk about productivity when it is impossible to separate Russian and non-Russian publications. So So the main point is I understand the whole reform of higher educational system to attract those guys who are going to publish abroad in good journals. And for me, productivity, it's not just the number of publications. So we can say that those who are not inbred should have higher rates of non-Russian publications.
It's one of the hypotheses from literature. Yes. One.
Yeah, but when we couldn't separate these
Yes, I
input,
understand.
what is then productivity that we are expected to find in your model?
Okay, productivity may be measured by different ways. The number of publications is one of them. And, why not? A person who produced a lot of publication, he can be the more productive compared to a person who product the less publication. It's not mindless. No?
You don't see very numerous differences. So your conclusion is that they are virtually the same. So
But we say that this really may be because of different publication strategies on inbred and non-inbreds, and because of quality of their publications.
that's
And
what we don't know.
Yes.
So we see virtually no results, but we cannot offer any. We can offer so many explanations for that.
not,
We
yeah.
will never know which one is right. The only thing that you can say answering that question is that it's only 2012, so that is not our times when it's so significant. So maybe 4 years ago it wasn't that important to differentiate.
Yes, and
Do you have the university fixed effects there?
no.
Why? Because different universities have at least different award strategies for these publications. Even HSC has different award strategies over time, right? So 3 years ago we had completely different reward scheme, right?
Mhm.
So there the number, that was the number that counted. And now it doesn't matter much how many publications you have in the board.
Yeah, we thought about it, but
At least
we
you
need to-
have
we
for
need to-
different types of universities, like national research universities and federal universities, like normal universities.
For that
Yeah.
we controlled. For types of universities we controlled.
we had dummies for this
Yeah,
types
just
of
dummies,
universities,
yes.
but maybe it's not a good way to
How
control.
many universities are there?
25 in the sample.
I guess it's possible to check the reward scheme for this motivation scheme for operation vector. There are not so many of them. So you
Yes.
can
Yeah, but
check.
maybe it is difficult because it's about 20.
2000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
2012.
It could allow to control for that type of things.
Okay, we can try to check it.
I mean,
If
it's
it
not
is
100 of
possible, it
them,
will
right?
be. If it is possible, it will be great. But
So
it
if
may
you
be-
have these types of the schemes, at least you can classify them somehow to introduce the types. So the university can simulate differently.
Again, if you claim that there is no difference between inbred and non-inbred people just because English language publication and Russian publications are different qualities and efforts, which counts with it, so can't just measure by quantity, which means that probably means that if you take only those people, only some sample of people who produce a lot of like points, if you have a lot of points, it means that most of them comes from Russian publications, because you just can't have like hundreds of English language publications, but you can have hundreds of Russian publications. What if you take a subsample of those people who are very productive and look at them and see if they're most, in most cases, inbred or non-inbred, and check what's going on with them, because it might give you some additional evidence on what happens with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I also wanted to clarify what's going on with your discipline, because it seems that people from different areas behave in different ways.
We included it like dummies, but we didn't compare by certain disciplines. We
Maybe-
controlled, yes, but maybe, yes. we can
Maybe
try to
just
compare.
have a look on the descriptive statistics, just
Yes.
across tab and see how it works.
Yes, we'll try.
We have a descriptive statistic split by disciplines in
In this very big table.
Yeah.
This is about number of different types of inbreds in
Humanity.
in different disciplines. Yeah, but not about
Their
numbers
productivity.
articles.
It
Yeah.
But I
actually
think
looks
it's
like that
important.
people from computer science, from technology stuff, they tend to have more publications in different proceedings in English, and maybe they have different trajectories. And in comparison with social science and humanities, people tend to have more big and articles and sometimes books in humanities. So.
What I would also suggest to do, just continuing what Sonia was saying, is look on their mail data of 2012-2011 and to check how many, they have micro statistics, how many people do have publications in English, just to have an evidence on how many people really publish at least something in English. So probably in 2012,
Yes.
on the average, it was like almost zero.
Okay.
And do you have only professors and associate professor docent in your sample? Do you have lower?
We have lower, but
Yes,
we have only two
control,
dummies.
controls for this.
So you have 3 and you control
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
And could you explain again a little bit why do you need so many different specifications for inbred people if there's actually no difference in results and there's no like positive results in that?
Because actually they are very different in different studies. After author use very different types of personalizations, and we thought that maybe this is a reason why so huge differences between results. And we try to check all these types of personalization and compare results with each other. Because
To
maybe
find out if a personalization affects this correlation. And we find that there is no such difference. That's why we conclude that.
Then it might be interesting to explain a little bit more detail why you expect it could be any difference for different specifications. Because
Okay.
so far that sounds a little bit boring when you explain you can define it in this way or that way, and you spend like 5 minutes on that, and then it doesn't work.
Okay.
So and actually we don't see any difference. Why it's important, like to distinguish between different types of identifications, and why we might explain the different results there.
The main idea here is that just people who studied in different levels of education may have different experience. And I know that it should be said in presentation, but it's just how we can explain, because people have different experience and different psychological experience and different loyalty, maybe even speaking about
Right,
what
but
Andrey
But if you look on the
does.
detail,
Yeah.
there is also people of 2012, which means they got their education a bit earlier, right?
Yes.
At that time, there were no huge mobility between institutions, and before 2000 something, there were no Bologna system, right? Before 2006, so people just stayed in one university and basically stayed for PhD studies there. And just a few people migrated. So probably there's not too much difference, like important difference between those specifications, just because basically it's almost the same division of people. So what I suggest is just to check whether different definitions give you different partitions of people and different subgroups of people. Probably they don't.
Okay.
Any more questions? Comments? Yeah, and thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.